Hey guys, can you hear me? We are back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It is a snack pack, everyone. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break Pop Culture Cosmos. Thank you, Darren. Truly appreciate it. Yeah, Joe, he can hear me. Darren can hear me. So I don't know why you can't hear me. So weird. Huh. All right. Well, we'll keep on keeping on. It is, of course, Gerald Glasser. Thanks again for watching this. Truly appreciate it. Go ahead and check out the great shows that I have lined up for you. Obviously, first off, it is the Pop Culture Cosmos. What's up, Serge? What's up, Sports Baby? Xbox in the future. What's up, man? How you doing? Joe can't hear me for some reason. I don't know why. He's working on his gremlins for his headphone, I guess. We've been having headphone issues. First it was me, then it was John. Now it's Joe. Oh, well, we'll keep at it. But it is, of course, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. I truly appreciate you joining us right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. I also host the Pop Culture Cosmos. On this week's Pop Culture Cosmos, right where you get your podcast, go ahead and check out me and John Orlando from the PVD Cast as we go ahead and break down the awesome world of professional wrestling on the State of Pro Wrestling for October 2024. That's on our latest episode, and upcoming later this week is the Inside Sports Fantasy Football channel. We have got some great things going on there. Chris Sardieri, hopefully Joe Soro, if he's got his headset working, and I will go ahead and discuss what happened in week 5, and is it time to bench Josh Allen, who was the number 1 rated quarterback heading into the season? We'll go ahead and discuss that. Plus, I told you about Joe Flacco. I was right. So go ahead and hear my thoughts on Joe Flacco if he can continue the run for the Indianapolis Colts and more. This coming up later this week on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Also, as well, of course, our shout out to our members. They're being displayed down below, starting off with Doobie Raphael Search, Nija Narukami Tutal, Legend Weston, Moonlight, Remy, Retro 7, Intel, Samir, JSJ, Kurt, Darren, Sports Baby, and of course, Xbox. Everyone is greatly appreciated. What you get as far as for $2.99 a month, you not only get emojis, you not only get badges, you get inside notes on when we go live on the air for the most part for our shows, and you get that ahead of time. Plus, you get special treats like upcoming later this week. I will bring you my Lakers preview. And also, as well, you got my Mr. McMahon review first before anyone else. And also, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? He still can't hear me. Also, if you're a member, we are going to roll out for you the predictions from our esteemed colleagues as far as the Western and Eastern conferences. So you will get that ahead of anywhere else, whether it's on this show or on our websites that we got for you, Lakerholics.com, or the upcoming Lakers Fast Break website. You never know what may happen. We've got that cup coming, but you will get it first. First, if you remember, as far as our thoughts. And if you want to go ahead and give your thoughts on the Eastern and Western conferences, if you want to give an order of projections, that's what I've asked the guys to do. Plus MVP, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved. Yeah, we do all the entire list. So I have got the guys in the background working on it, except for Joe. He doesn't like to do those type of things. It's too much for his brain. So go ahead. If you want to, you can email me, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. But I am posting those results first and foremost for our members for just $2.99 a month. Alfred, what's up? Go ahead, man. I emailed you. You're one of the experts, so you go ahead and share your thoughts, my friend, in detail as far as that in writing. And then also, I asked you if you can, whenever you can, come on the show. I've already got Legend on Wednesday. I've already got Stone Hansen coming up on Thursday. So, yeah, absolutely. Definitely, we're looking forward to having those guys on the air, bringing Alfred back into the mix. I've also got a special interview I'm trying to line up for next week for you guys that are doing fantasy basketball. Plus, We are doing a fantasy basketball league once again this year. I can do more than one. It all depends on your interest. So email me your interest, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, and I'll set up a league here in the coming days as well. A lot of stuff to go on, but also want to give a big shout out to the Lakerholics crew for Lakerholics.com, Laker Tom, Jamie Sweet, and Michael Heinrich. Of course, John Costa, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Also, as well, you want to go ahead and get a shout out to, when you can, Empire Jeff TV, covering the Dodgers and the Lakers. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Yo, also as well, John McCalian channel, Lakers in 5. All these great places you need to go like and subscribe, but make sure you like and you subscribe to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air. We've gotten a lot of subscribers in the past few days, and I'm so grateful. We were kind of worried, kind of slowed down for us, but it's moving back up again in the right direction. It's all because of you right here at the Lakers Fast Break. I like pineapple on pizza too, Darren. And in fact, I'm having a smoothie right now I made here at the house with pineapple, with some orange, with some apple, and some spinach. Just trying to do the healthy thing. Thought I'd throw it all together with some ice, get a smoothie. Not too bad. Not too bad, actually. Try to do the healthy thing, see what's going on. But yes, I like pineapple on pizza. Cool, bro. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Absolutely no idea. Pineapple on pizza rocks. Have yourself a Hawaiian pizza. Like, you've got a round table near you. If you've got a round table near you, their Hawaiian pizza is really good. They put Canadian bacon on it. They put regular bacon bits on it, I think, as well. I had it. It's sensational. They fill it all. And one thing with round table, it is more expensive, but they put a whole bunch of ingredients on it. So there you go. Cool, bro. Man. Yes, there's nothing better to have than to have Hawaiian pizza in Hawaii as well. But this, of course, Gerald Glassford. Hopefully, I'll be joined by Joe. He is having technical difficulties. What a shock. But it is, of course, Gerald Glassford. I will be coming with you right now as far as my thoughts on the Lakers and their time in Palm Springs. It's 2 games down in the preseason schedule. They're not due until Thursday when they go to Milwaukee for Pfizer Forum. Can you hear me now, Joe?
Yes.
All right. Woohoo! What was going on, man?
I don't know. Something wrong with the Google Chrome browser. I switched browsers and it started working.
Oh, sweet. Well, glad to have you here, my friend. And I'll leave it to you first off. I want to ask you this. 2 games. They were 0 for Palm Springs. But while we know the show to always go ahead and point things out as far as what the Lakers are doing wrong, again, I'd like to point out some of the things that they were doing right. That first half in the second game, I took a lot from. It took a lot for me as far as where I think this team stands as far as the competitiveness that they have, the fact that if you have a healthy starting 5, they can compete with a lot of teams out there in the NBA. That's not the best by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a team that, if it stays healthy, Joe, can at least maybe see its way through to a playoff spot.
No, I'm not. No, we were healthy last year and they couldn't do it either. There's a
Well, I said
talent.
playoff spot.
Yeah, playoff spot is not going to work. They need home court. They need a top 4 pick in the playoffs. Otherwise, this becomes a redundancy that just never ends. That quote in itself is redundant. It's not. It's just not going to work unless they start getting some home court work in the beginning of the playoffs. If they're going to continue to travel right out the gate, it's gonna wear out. It's gonna wear out. And the other thing is, history has not been kind. It's one of the most destructive things in any sport, where in basketball you cannot do what the Kings did in, what was it, 2012?
Yeah.
You can't do what the Steelers did in 2005 when you go to win 9 road games. That stuff does not happen in basketball. It's happened once in 33 years, and I don't know when it happened before that. I'd have to go look at that. But the Lakers, and that probably wouldn't have happened if Michael hadn't retired, right? So that's always the case there. There is no way of this team being able to win a championship unless they get a top 4 seed. It's got to be in that area. They got to start at home, and they got to probably have home court in the second round too, to have a little bit of ease going into a 4-series run to try to win a championship. They could get lucky, like the Celtics did a little bit last year, where almost everybody they played during the setup was hurt. One of their main guys was hurt. The entire East run was one of their main guys of their opponents was hurt. The Lakers stayed healthy last year. We've said this before. They stayed healthy. LeBron and AD didn't have any debilitating injuries all year. They shot relatively well, especially the last 3 months. What they can't do is they don't have enough horses. And when you don't have enough horses and you're putting out all that energy, that's probably why they're not able to get to those rebounds and have that energy. I was listening to the Empire Jeff show earlier today, and he had mentioned how Austin Reeves looks a little bit leaner, not as doughy. Now, looking at the Palm Springs game, the game against Phoenix, he was trying to shoot like Steph Curry. The only problem is he didn't do what Steph Curry usually does, which is make shots. It serves no purpose in doing all that if you're going to miss shots. And on top of that, you're going to expend a lot of energy to the point where you're going to just put yourself in a bad position to not be able to do the little things, which is what the Lakers have failed to do the last few years. The Lakers have two things that they have to do here to have any shot of competing for a championship. Number one, they have to upgrade the roster. They have to get at least one more perimeter guy that can ball, and they need a center. They need a big that can spell, at the very least, spell Anthony Davis for about 15 minutes. If they can do that, and then all the ifs and the ifs and the ifs and the ifs work out, sure, there's a chance there. There is a chance there.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. So there are some issues, Joe. Like you said, if the Lakers get hurt, especially in the starting 5, there's some issues. There's some problems. Of course, with Vando and Christian Wood already out, didn't set the tone exactly in the greatest way possible to have the team fully healthy, because of the fact that they're already starving at depth at this point right now at every position. I mean, backup center is an issue, backup forwards an issue, backup guards are an issue. We have a lot of question marks at every single position as far as what we have coming off the bench. For every Max Christie supporter, there was yesterday's 3 for 14. For every Dalton Connect supporter, there was yesterday's 6 or 7 points that he got on not good shooting. Gabe Vincent, you can see Gabe Vincent has some moments in him, but he's probably going to be very limited in what he can give you, because he's that gritty kind of guard who is going to try hard, give you great effort, but I don't know how much he can really do for you based on what we've seen so far. It's just, there's so many question marks as far as having this team be able to compete. You're right. It is an 82-game season, Joe. And if the Lakers do have any stretch of time where LeBron and AD are injured, it's not going to look good. That's for sure.
Other than LeBron and AD, there's no surefire starter on this team. The starters beyond that are starters by default. Rui would be a perfect 6'7" guy off the bench. D'Angelo Russell would probably stack six men of the year left and right if he was on let's say a Denver team.
Yeah.
If Reeves has a lot of good attributes of a starter, because he does have leadership skills. He's acclimated to LeBron's and AD's aura and stardom or star power. He has his moments where he can hit open shots. That's the thing with Austin is if he's in rhythm and he's open, he generally makes it. But a little bit of resistance is where he starts to get into problems. And catch and shoot, I'm not sure that's going to be a smart way to do business there. You saw a little bit of it yesterday. I don't think he's a catch and shoot guy. I don't think he'll ever be that guy. That takes a certain skill set, and there's only a handful of people on the planet that can do that in any given generation. So I'm gonna say this. I hadn't been thinking about Austin in terms of a trade scenario because I feel like there's some stability there with him. But if he doesn't make shots in this new JJ Redick arsenal of threes, which is not that drastic of a change of anything that anyone else is doing in the NBA. The NBA, pretty much the entire NBA pretty much runs the same lousy, shitty offense, which is what you saw yesterday. Shoot threes, try to make a couple plays, shoot threes, make a couple plays, shoot threes. That's essentially what all the NBA is these days. If it's true that JJ Redick wants to shoot a lot of threes, factor this into your thoughts. If you're going to want to shoot 43s a game, you're probably doing that to keep your team in it so that they are not crushed by either the half-court offenses of the Jokic's and the Embiid's and the big men, basically, that no one really, anybody can guard. Even AD has trouble guarding the bigs for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think that they're just too big for him, and he's probably better off guarding other people other than big stumps. But the other thing is people playing half court against the perimeter of the Lakers, they're going to be able to dribble, and get past it pretty quick, draw on a double team, throw it to the three-point man that's open, and then boom. So by maybe possibly, this is just my thoughts here. I'm not saying this is what they're trying to do, but in knowing basketball, my thoughts is if he's going to have these guys running and shooting like they're the Golden State Warriors of 2017 or even the Phoenix Suns of the mid-2000s, you're probably doing that so that you can keep your opponent constantly in stress instead of relaxed. Because the second really, really good teams get relaxed, that's where the Lakers start to mess up and they're not able to get rebounds and second and third chance shots start to go in. The only problem with that is one of your players, who's the important player, is going to be 40 years old this year. If he doesn't roll like that for 82 games, you're toast. AD has never really been a guy that can play stressful basketball for an entire year. There's always a lull somewhere. Usually it's a soft tissue injury typically, or he kind of disappears during certain games where you're wondering why he isn't playing well. I think a lot of that comes down to he kind of checks out, whether it's direct or indirectly, he checks out, and that's just kind of who he is. And you wonder, well, what the hell's he doing? Why does he only have 5 shots? You know that, right? Everyone knows that, right? That happens pretty much 10 or 12 times a year, maybe more. There would have to be habits broken, and every single role player that's got something on this team has to all have improved at least a little bit. I'm talking everyone. AR would have to improve in his ball handling or his shooting. Rui's going to have to be able to get better somewhere in defense and shooting. Could D'Angelo go from really bad defender to possibly at least a good team defender? If those things are not there, then you're just back to where you were. And then are we going to start doing shows about how JJ Redick is a bad coach in January? That's what's going to be the question.
Well, you know this league, Joe. And once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break with Joe Soro. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. Become a member today for just $2.99 a month. Please like and subscribe. You'll get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break. You know how this league works. They saw the formula for Boston and how they made it to the finals, and then obviously how they made it the next year to where you saw them now. As far as when they went to the finals, then they obviously playoffs, run after run after run, leading into the championship they won based off of an offense, especially with Joe Mazzulla, and they're predicated on 40 plus threes a game. Now everybody wants to follow it for him. It's a copycat league, Joe. It is when they see success with that, or with Indiana or Sacramento the year before, when they both went high octane offenses. Now everybody wants to do a high octane offense. They're just it's all a trend setting, Joe. They all talk about that in training camp, how they want to follow what just worked the season before.
Damian Lillard talked about this, I think, in an interview a few years back. He said they tried to run a traditional offense where they weren't shooting threes all over the place, and they found themselves just getting behind real quick. It's the way the game is set up now. The unfortunate situation there is there was a little bit of a stoppage in 2020. And with the COVID fiasco and the bubble situation, and the fact that Rob Pelinka and Jeannie and the gang decided to break up what likely would have been a probably 5-year championship run, they had kind of stomped on that new wave basketball. They stomped on it a little bit in 2020, and I was very encouraged after they won a championship. After winning the championship, which is first. The second thing was I was excited the fact that the Lakers had finally neutralized this 3-point fiasco. They had the horses to do it. They had the correct players, and Alex Caruso and KCP and Kuzma. As much as he was struggling shooting, he enhanced his defense a little bit. You had Rondo, who had his one last hurrah. And then, of course, you had AD, who absolutely got mother effing robbed for Defensive Player of the Year that year. And, yeah, it came back. It came back because maybe it's just an easier way to coach. I don't know. I don't really know what the answer it is, other than this is just what we have to deal with. But the problem, if you're going to run that kind of offense, you're going to run that kind of philosophy, you got to get the right tools to run it consistently and not have it break down on you later in the year.
So I ask you this, my friend, what are your lasting impressions as the Lakers have now left Palm Springs 0 for 2 as far as, on the preseason so far? Basically only one impressive half out of that whole entire mix. And that was done by the starting five. The young kids, again, mixed results. Max Christie and Dalton Knecht gave you a really good first game, but couldn't follow it up. Bronny James is an absolute disaster. And the media, my gosh, I did a Lakers search. I just typed in Lakers like I do every day, just for the latest news, to see if there's anything I could go ahead and draw for the show. And of course, there are 5 articles that immediately pop up from places all around, even larger entities, Newsweek, Sports Illustrated, stuff like that. How did Bronny do in his second game? How did Bronny do in this game? How did Bronny do in his latest game? How is Bronny doing? It's nauseating, Joe. The guy was an embarrassment as an NBA player in his previous game. I don't care that he did share the floor with his dad. That's great. History made, blah, blah, blah. He embarrassed himself, the Lakers uniform, and the league with his performance yesterday. Anybody who says otherwise is kidding themselves. And yet we have to go ahead and hear all this continuously, and we will continuously hear this on throughout the entire season. But leaving Palm Springs, again, we're trying to find consistency that can help the starting five achieve any kind of success to get actually where you want them to be, to get, like I said, a top 4 seed in the West. But that really, really does not look like it's going to happen as far as that high of a ceiling for them this year.
What was worse is the 2 times he came in, he was an absolute. He was a.
It was a train wreck that
he was a
second half.
detriment to winning, which is what this all started out with, anyways. I wish this guy would just. I mean, I guess I sort of understand this, but let me read something to you. I found on the internet. I feel sorry for Bronny. And I there's some truth to that, by the way, even for me. I know I sound like I'm trying to dog on the guy, but I'm not. But then at the same time, he is 19, and I think he should have told
20. He turned 20 yesterday.
Yeah, 20, whatever. So here, I'll read the quote, and then I'll continue with the comments. I'm sorry for Bronny. It's clear that he doesn't want to be there. He's only doing it to satisfy his father's ego of being the first to play with his son. Sincerely, anonymous NBA player. I am in agreement with whoever that is. It's exactly what it is, and we've discussed it already. This is a LeBron James decision. He made himself and and the franchise, and this is really Jeannie and Rob's fault, no matter what, for listening, because we talked about this on the last show. They could have had Bronny and still drafted someone that might have been something.
Yeah.
You could have had both, but you didn't. That's the part that fucking pisses me off. Why did he have to be drafted? Well, they wanted to sign him on a like, dude, your dad's a billionaire. What the hell? What does that even have to do with anything with the discussion?
Because remember, they were threatening
him.
Well, hold on. Remember, they were threatening. His agent was threatening.
I don't give a shit what the fuck he was threatening. Okay, just listen to me.
Okay.
There's no reason to not have both. No one was drafting him. He's not an NBA player. You want to do a father-son dance, get him as a free agent, have your little holding the hand and skipping down the court for a game or two. I don't give a shit. And then you still could have drafted somebody that might have had a chance. You're talking about 60 players in the entire planet. You're telling me, with all the history of what's gone on the last 15 years in the NBA, 20 years maybe even, with the international players out there, with the fact that your franchise has been really good at getting guys in that area in the second round, and the irony of it all, the fact that you have a 3-time MVP that was picked in the second round, and I'm still hearing these assholes talking about we couldn't have gotten anybody anyway. That's what losers sound like. These guys touting all this shit about him and his dad and all. That's what losers do. These are losers. Losers in their profession. And the only reason why they have their job is because they had enough tongue up somebody's ass to have the job. Because they're not talented. They're not. A lot of these ego-driven assholes and these execs, you know this better than anyone, and I've said it 100 times to you. You were around the world, the video game world. You were around the entertainment business. You know damn well that's true, and it's still going on. Those assholes like their ass kissed, and then there's other things going on too, and that's how they stay in their positions. And for me, it's a double this for all the counts. And these are the same assholes when things go wrong. Oh, 10 years later, oh, well, he did something to me. Bitch, why didn't you say something 10 years ago then? Well, I was scared about my job. Well, why are you coming out now when everyone else did? That's another coward move. This whole situation, from the moment, because I've had several of my friends go, what's wrong with you? Why are you so mad about this? I go, what is it about? Everything comes together. You can't. I don't understand this shutting off. Oh well, I want to win here, but I don't want to win there. That never makes sense to me. I want to win everywhere. I want to be the best everywhere. But instead, what did we get? You just read a quote from a player in the NBA, and he wrote it perfectly.
He wrote it perfectly. It's been a problem with this guy and all the polarizing figure of LeBron James. It's different than most mega superstars who have been polarizing. Okay, when you say polarizing, to me, I look back at Kobe Bryant. The reason why he was polarizing is because he was a mean person and he didn't talk to the media. And guys like J.A. Adonde and Plasky and all those guys and T.J. Summers used to talk shit because I think Kobe treated them like shit because that's what they deserve. That's what they deserve sometimes, those media types, right? Especially the LA Times back in the late 90s and early 2000s. So, because they were trying to create that rift between him and Shaq. I'm going to always blame Shaq and Kobe for that first. But of course, the media put the gas on it, right?
Oh, yeah. They didn't make it any better.
Yeah. So now, fast forward, it's done a complete 180. Now all the media either does not have access. They get jettisoned out of there. Or even if they say anything, it's so far away that you don't even hear about it. And then now we have to sit here and watch and listen to trash. And I got to watch out for what I say, apparently, to some of people around me, not like threaten-wise, but just, dude, relax or this. I'm like, fuck you. No, I'm not going to relax. Relax for what? You do something wrong, I'm going to tell you you're doing something wrong. This is my favorite team. I care. Okay, I'm used to 6 championships. I'm used to 9 finals appearances in 34 years. And all of a sudden I see a team that is the most popular basketball team in the history of this planet run their operation like the Chicago Bears, the Arizona Cardinals, the Cleveland Browns Clowns, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Absolutely not. I will not accept it. And I'm not going to run away either. Like a bitch. Like all these other bitches. Oh, I'm going to stop watching. Oh, I'm going to. How do you solve anything? Running away like a bitch. So maybe nothing happens here. It's very likely that it won't. But at least I can say on tape, and it's on tape, I tried. I try to tell you guys. I try to tell you, and I try to tell you some of the solutions too. The solution to this team winning, there's 2 solutions right now. One is going to be, you'd have to have it immediate, and one is going to be for the long haul. The problem is you got to clean house on one of them. And I'm talking clean house from the top. Or at least that person needs to say, I'm out of this. I'm hiring a VP of basketball operations who's going to run it. I'm going to hire an RC Buford type, and he's going to run this. And then you have the coach, like a Popovich. And then if you need a little GM action somewhere to throw that in there, cool. Let those guys run this team. You as an owner, go play with your puppies. Go get them dog food. Go clean up their shit when they shit in the street and piss on the street. Go clean that up. That's what you're good for. And then at that point, maybe we can get back to Lakers caring about winning instead of being a fucking daycare.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciated. We're going to be here all week trying to bring the best of Lakers talk straight to you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, also wherever you get your audio podcasts, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Want to give a big shout out to our audio listeners. We never forget about you, so it is truly appreciated whenever you get a chance to catch us. I know it's not the most family-friendly show in town, but it's the most entertaining right here at the Lakers Fast Break. So, Joe, again, JJ has got some things to work on. One of the things I haven't discussed in real detail with you over the course of the past weekend, I wanted to save it for you, was the defensive end. While the offensive end with the starting 5 in that first half really was good, 69 points, didn't look like they had missed a beat there outside of Austin Reeves' jump shot. The defense had some issues, especially with the second team, just missed assignments, lack of communication. It was just not a good sign. Everybody had their good points and their bad points. Yes, 8 block shots in that first game, but they got beat several times. And obviously, when you give up 124 points in the game against Minnesota, that's not good. and they didn't give up much less here against Phoenix. So the defense, I think, is something that JJ has to focus on because right now it's just not that good.
No, I don't think they are focused on defense. I don't think
That's not good.
I don't think there's going to be any defense other than hoping AD can anchor something or get in the way. Jackson Hayes and AD played well together. The issue there is AD is still playing when Jackson Hayes is in there. And the problem there is if Jackson Hayes doesn't stand next to AD, it's a complete disaster. Looking at the first half, especially the first quarter, I saw phenomenal basketball, expected basketball from two future Hall of Famers, one all-time great, and the other you can say is an all-time great, definitely top 75, right? And that's not a surprise. It's not. Those guys are amazing. And then you have the guys that are starting who are doing their job, scoring, and there was some really good fundamental basketball going on. A lot of good pick and rolls, a lot of good dives to the basket, a lot of open layups, which is nice because usually when there's resistance, it's Lakers seem to have a problem there. However, that's one quarter, let's say a quarter and a half of LeBron and AD playing. Let's say 2 quarters. The problem is they still got to play another 2 quarters throughout the year. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
if you factor in total minutes, they have to play at least 3 quarters out of the 4. Can LeBron and AD play at that high octane environment for 3 quarters each game throughout the year? That's 36 minutes. That's 36 minutes a game playing at that intensity. I don't think it's going to work. I would love for it to work because it would work with their talent, but it's just not. LeBron could have done it 5 years ago. AD could have done it 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see, and maybe AD could do it if he had a little help, because AD could sit back for a lot of those minutes because he does have certain players that can score. AD doesn't have to be. AD doesn't go down to the block, hold the ball up, and throw the ball to the open man. That there's a lot of energy to I guess execute that. He usually kind of opens the lane, sits back, and lets LeBron go to the basket. Someone else run a pick and roll, draw the defender if they are going to the basket. Austin obviously does that sometimes. Throw it to the open man if a help comes through and tries to get in the way. It's possible, but it's not realistic that it can last for an entire season. Where it could is when you have at least a couple more guys that you know are bona fide number 3 and number 4 starters. The Lakers only have really 2 starters on this team. If they are to enhance this team, they have to find at least 2 more starters. Because imagine what a difference this team can be if you have Austin and Rui coming off the bench. That changes the entire dynamic of that team. A center and then maybe a small forward type, someone that can play a little bit of defense and can at least score in 15, 16 points a game. Someone that could be a Glenn Rice, maybe not shooting like Glenn Rice, but someone that could drop 50. Someone like Michael Porter Jr. of that ilk. Heck, I would take Aaron Gordon, an Aaron Gordon type.
I know Denver didn't look good in Abu Dhabi as a team, but Michael Porter Jr. was singled out because he looked like he was fit, in shape. And he's had several back problems over the years, surgery among one of the other things. He actually looked really good so far from what I saw, and also from what the feedback was as far as so far in preseason. So he has to give them a lift because Christian Brown, or Braun, however you want to say it, he's very iffy as far as what he can give as a starting shooting guard in place of KCP. So that means that's going to be more reps, more ups, more attempts, more shots, and more time for MPJ.
And that's probably what they banked on, that Brown would replace KCP. This will be his third year. He's already championship pedigree. More time usually for a up and comer means more opportunity to get into a rhythm. You can't hold back talent at some point. You got to throw them in there. It's kind of like when Kobe, after his second season, as much as we loved Eddie Jones, we knew that he was in the way. And everyone thinks, oh, Phil Jackson had been there, the Eddie Jones would have never got traded. Maybe. But especially at that time, you know, positions were more structured. And sure, Eddie Jones could have probably come off the bench, but would he have? I don't know. It's similar here too with Denver. I think they're going to be better this year. They're going to be hungry, and if they stay healthy, I think there's a big chance that they represent the West again in the finals.
Because
one bad quarter, they very, very well could have went to the finals again, and they probably had a better chance of beating Boston than anybody.
Okay. I mean, a lot of people are predicting the otherwise during the course of the season just because of the lack of depth that they now have by losing Brown and then KCP in successive seasons. So
can't pay everyone.
Yeah. In Denver, they won't pay everyone. That's just that simple.
Yeah, the system is going to start. The system is going to start evening out here. That's what they wanted. You're having issues with Brandon Ingram not getting signed, and no one else wants to sign Brandon Ingram because he is not a max player. But sometimes you can get lucky in terms of your timing, and someone has to spend that money, and that's probably what Brandon Ingram's probably waiting on. Who's going to sign him because somebody has to.
I mean, they have Jokic for 81 games this season. I mean, how can you argue with that as far as them being maybe a top 5 team in the Western Conference? And then always a playoff shot when you've got them in a 5-game or 7-game series. You always have a chance if you have Jokic. And then Murray, depending on what shape he's in, we'll see. Again, he's a big deal. He just signed his extension. He's coming off a bad Olympics and not the greatest playoffs in the world, looked out of shape. He better get back into shape real quick if he's going to help out Jokic this season.
You're talking about who?
Murray.
Oh, Murray, Jamal.
Yeah, he was out of shape. He looked terrible for Team Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. Jamal's an interesting player.
Yet they still rewarded him, Joe.
Yeah, you have to. He's elite in a lot of ways. It's just, I don't know if his injuries are starting to catch up to him a little bit. Maybe getting paid and being a champion, maybe that plays a factor in terms of aggression, the want. He doesn't strike me as someone that is going to disrespect his team. I'm curious to see how he plays this year. I think he still has some goals to hit. He's never made an all-star team.
Yeah.
I think he should, if he is healthy and can be focused, I think he should use that as fuel to kind of get that notch under his belt as well. Dame Lillard was kind of in that same boat for a while where he couldn't make an all-star team just because the West had so many amazing guards. It's just you couldn't get it. Couldn't get on the team, just not enough players. And looking at Dallas's situation, because they have young players and they acquired really good young players, I'm thinking without injury, because there's an issue with Luka that will at some point, unless he fixes it, become an issue, which is he doesn't seem like he takes preparation seriously. He's basically living off talent. But he's still young enough to where I think he can still do it at least another couple of years. So I'm actually thinking at this point, it's going to be Dallas and Denver battling in the West. I think Oklahoma City's probably a year away. Chet Holmgren is would have to be an all-star and likely defensive player of the year type for Oklahoma to put a monkey wrench in that. But I think they're another year away, really. I'm thinking Dallas and Denver are going to battle in the West. I think Luka's going to win his first MVP, barring any injury. And that's how that's going to play out. And then in the East, my instincts tell me Philly, if they still stay healthy, against Boston. They'll battle it out, and one of those two teams will end up in the finals. And then New York, if Thibodeau can put some brass balls in Cat's sack, they're going to definitely have probably one of the best offenses in the game. But with Cat, he gets injured very quickly. He's weak-minded. He's soft. New York is not going to be a good place for him if he does that too much. Otherwise, he's going to turn into, it'll be like a Giancarlo Stanton type in New York. He doesn't belong there.
I remember that. Yeah, that's with Giancarlo Stanton and how that's worked out as far as that fit is concerned. But Yankees lost tonight because they were down 4-1. They ended up losing, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, people are so high. Oh, Yankees this, Yankees that. Oh, got to win your games just like the Dodgers. So there you go. Alfred, in the email, by the way, I don't know if you're checking your email, but there was an interesting thing that Henry put in there that I kind of tagged you on. So when you get a chance, take a look at your email in regards to the season predictions. He had something that was very interesting he added on that I thought you might like to see. But I will mention that search before we head on out as far as that's concerned. But getting to the Lakers a little bit more, again, I have some defensive concerns. I have some concerns with the depth on this team. I just don't know what's going to be made out of it because, again, Rob has backed himself into a corner with mediocre talent at best after player number 5 that's on the team. He is banking a lot on a 21-year-old and Max Christie. He is banking a lot on a rookie and Dalton Connect to pop and pop big. Joe, we've seen mixed results so far for Max Christie in an elevated role. We've seen mixed results with extended time for Dalton Connect in an elevated role so far in the preseason. Those guys are getting the bulk of the playing minutes. JHS has been very mixed so far. He realizes he cannot stretch the floor, so he's smartly moving in for some mid-range shots. He's distributing okay, but pushing the ball up the floor, and his defense, JHS, has been absolutely abysmal. He's like a matador on defense. That is his main problem. That's going to be a big problem for the Lakers if they want him to become the backup point guard in the league. The Lakers are riding a lot on these 3 young guys to start to pop as players out there and become significant contributors to this team. And they may not be ready for it quite as soon as the Lakers want them to be.
Dalton Connect looks, in my view, of the short amount of time that I've seen him play, better than any of the young guys that have been here for a year.
Friday he looked great. Sunday was not so much.
His release, his ability to get space. I wish he had hit that shot. That would have been poetic. Dalton Connect looks like an NBA player. I'm sorry. If that guy puts in the work, he is going to be a problem. He's too big, too wide, and too good of a shooter. It's just what it is. The Lakers absolutely won in that deal. That guy should have been a top 10 pick. They got him at 17. They won that one. And I hope JJ Redick uses him. And I hope he tells Dalton, hey, Dalton, look, you're going to start getting tired around February, March. So make sure you get ready for that. And don't worry about it. Just play your rear end off. Be a part of this rotation. It could be a huge help if he actually becomes a very viable player off the bench, because right now the Lakers don't have one guy other than Gabe Vincent that can possibly be a positive this year.
And that's going to be a big concern.
The only guy coming off the bench that we have seen play in a leadership and an effective role to where you're like, okay, he's going to be that guy that can
make some things happen at least 10, 15 times during the year where it will help the team. Anyone else? Max Christie, JHS. Jackson Hayes is going to play by default because the Lakers don't have anybody else. So that's, it's going to play out the way it does. Anyone else is toast. Max Christie is an absolute bomb.
JY, I don't think AD will ever win a DPOY award now with Wemby in the league. I just think that's just his to win for the next few years, starting this year. As soon as this year, he could happen, Joe.
Adam, he is a reject until he shows he's not. But that goes to show you how bad the roster is that I'm touting Gabe Vincent. He has the ability. He's done it. The problem is he going to stay healthy? Because I'm not depending on Reddish. I'm not depending on Vanderbilt. I'm not depending on Christian Wood. These guys are known they're known roster fillers. That's it. With an occasional effective game. And that means nothing for this team. This team can't afford a guy to do well for 20 games. Play 20 games here, miss 15 games there, come back, play 15 games, then get hurt again. That is as useless a player as any of us here watching this show.
Xbox, you're killing it, Matt. You're killing it. I'm glad you're having fun out there where you're at down under, my friend. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. JY, again, yeah, I just think to answer your first question, JY, for today, and I've got your one from yesterday. The first one from today is, again, with Victor Wembanyama in the league, I don't think AD will ever win a DPOY. Again, even if Victor doesn't win it this year, I just think somebody else like a Gobert or somebody else is just going to come in and take it ahead of AD. I just think that the Lakers will just not have a good enough record to support him being in a position where that's the case. With Victor, if he does get DPOY this year, it's because they had a dramatic improvement above last year in wins, and obviously his defense would be a great part of that. JY's other question from yesterday, if you want to comment on the DPOY thing, please, by all means, Joe. And then JY had another question from yesterday I want to hit you up with next.
I'm going to really try and get the list. There was a list that I found, but some of it wasn't official. I want to try to get the official list of those who are voting this year, and we're going to monitor it throughout the year. These guys need to be called out for their garbage. They're worse than boxing judges these days.
Well, the AI certainly agreed with you about as far as the Fred Hickman thing. That's for sure. Legend said Wemby might be in the MVP competition too. I think he'll get some votes. I think he'll be a top 10, maybe like a 8, 7, 8, 9, 10. Unless if they get into a playoff position, Legend, yeah, he'll get MVP votes a lot more. But if they just even improve like 20 games beyond what they did and get into a position where they're close to 500 or at 500, he'll certainly get some consideration as far as a top 10 pick as far as the MVP is concerned. But the other question I wanted to hit up with JY. JY put it at the very end of our show when we were going off the air, and I thought it was a good one. And I said I would go ahead and address it to you. If you had some time to think about it, the impact for LeBron on this era. And I'm assuming he meant this era right now that we're in, the past, 10 years, maybe since 2010. Your thoughts, my friend, on LeBron's impact on this era of basketball?
His impact from the basketball standpoint is legendary. Mm-hmm. You can't deny that he's the best player of his era. And it's not really close. As good as Steph Curry is, LeBron is 2 steps above Steph Curry. And Kevin Durant, even if he had stayed in Oklahoma City and just continued to do what he did, he still would have never been better than LeBron. No one's been better than LeBron the last 14 years, in my book. He's been the best player of the last 14 years. As far as off the court, he's the J-Lo of the NBA. It's the easiest way I can put it. In terms of his kind of, I don't know, is the word passe a good word?
Well, that's what he is. A lot of passive aggressiveness has been basically the outlier of his career. And, as someone who used to defend LeBron quite a bit for the stuff he did off the court, some of his stuff he does from the heart, which is good as far as for social issues. Some of the other stuff that he does as far as the passive aggressiveness, as far as the messages he sends, it just is frustrating. And I cannot defend it anymore, Joe, because, it's just some of the stuff like the hourglass and all the stuff he did last season. I'm just tired of it, man. It just gets old when he does that stuff. He says he's in a better place. And by the way, Black says corrupt is incredible. Congratulations, Joe. He When it comes to LeBron, he says he's in a better place now. He's more at ease at this point, his 22nd year. He's more reticent and acknowledges that this team probably is not a championship team. He's happy to play with Son, all those great field things, emotions. But let's see, Joe. Let's see if this season goes awry, just how at ease he will be. Let's see if the passive aggressiveness starts to come out. Let's see if the tweets come back out again that drive us nuts. Let's see if the irritation, some of the words he says to the press, or the manipulation starts to happen again in the press that we have heard and seen over the past few years. That also is a part of his legacy, but it's not the part of his legacy I like to draw on. I like to draw on the fact that he is, again, one of the most talented players of all time. Obviously, his record and his resume speaks for itself. I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time. I don't want to get in that argument. I want to get the discussion who is, who isn't. I just know he is one of the greatest players of all time, and you can't take that away from him, no matter how much you hate him.
I don't hate LeBron. I just
No,
don't.
I'm talking about the LeBron haters out there.
Well, the people who dislike things these days, they're not really relevant people in society. What confused me about, if you were a Cleveland Cavs fan, that was understandable, the whole decision. Why did people who had no skin in the game care so much? And that comes down to just the insecurity and the stupidity of the human being. I never understood why anyone cared, other than the Cleveland Cavaliers. They should have been angry. They should have been throwing venom at him. That made sense. He kind of slapped them in the face on his way out. And I know these players don't owe fans anything really, but in a lot of ways you kind of do. I mean, they're buying the tickets. They're spending their time watching you. There's a reason why Michael Jordan was loved and Kobe was loved. Now, Kobe was loved in a different way from all three. Kobe was loved by the people who were loyal to him because of who he was. Kobe said, and I've said this in the past, Kobe said he could walk around Orange County. He lived in Newport Beach. He said he could go to the Baskin Robbins and go get his kids ice cream because most of the rich people over there looked at Kobe as a equal. They didn't look at him as a god. I'm paraphrasing, but you get my point. He goes, and I remember reading a quote where I can't go to LA. I can't walk outside LA. People go wacko over there. And the reason why they go wacko is because Kobe's everything that city at least used to be. They're not now. Now they're trash. There used to be, LA's always been a little bit of, a back and forth, but now there's no back and forth. It's just trash. But the hardworking guy, the trying to put your boots on guy, that's why people loved Kobe in LA, because Kobe represented them. He came to work every day. He put on a performance. You couldn't not watch a game in December and January and February, because what would happen? You would miss Kobe hitting 81. You would miss Kobe hitting 62 3/4. You would miss Kobe hitting 50 games, 4 straight games of 50 or more. Those things changed with LeBron. LeBron, phenomenal basketball player, phenomenal athlete, best of his era, but he has a he has a love for himself. And all these guys have egos. All of them think highly of themselves. But LeBron, I always said, had more of a feminine way of how he did it. He's more pussiness with it instead of like a man, like Shaq and Kobe and Michael. Those guys wanted to destroy your entire existence. LeBron wants to do handshakes and go tweet. Just it's more a pussy way of doing it. So I don't relate to that. And maybe this era of betas that are out there are relating to it or related to him. But yeah, it's polarizing. I don't know if I want to use that word. He's not polarizing because a lot of times I feel like that takes some kind of intelligence to have that aura around him. I don't think LeBron is that bright. I think his intelligence is extremely overrated. In the way he articulates his speech, and the way his maturity, and how he delivers messages. If anyone thinks that's some kind of suave secret thing, I mean, to me it looks like typical teenage, bullshit. And that's the difference there. I don't know. That's the only best way I can explain it.
So before we head on out, my friend, and once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Please like and subscribe to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. Don't forget, you can become a member like the great folks down below. You can become a member today to get emojis, badges, and special shout-outs, plus stuff that you get behind the scenes before anyone else. Go ahead and do that today for $2.99 a month as well. Wanted to go ahead and mention something that was talked about in the chat. It was announced earlier today, something that I had predicted, and pretty much anyone else could have predicted as soon as Woj announced his retirement. Shams Charania is now part of Team ESPN. He was signed to a deal earlier today and announced on his Twitter that he is now part of ESPN as their NBA insider. I think, again, the reason why at the time I said you could just set your watch to it, just count the days until they go ahead and sign or make an offer to Shams, simply because the fact that he and Woj were the guys doing all the legwork and have all the connections, and B, all those other reporters that work for ESPN on a local or national basis just don't have the type of ins that Shams or Woj do. And no matter how much you dislike their coverage or dislike the way they do things or dislike the fact that it's just a Twitter mentality and all that stuff, you cannot deny the fact that they have just more content than anyone as far as bringing you basketball news first.
What basketball news?
They break stuff sooner than anybody.
What breaks?
All the news, Joe. They usually announce it first.
Okay.
The cat trade. For instance, the cat trade was announced.
The cat. So he breaks the news at 11:11 a.m. I'm on the toilet. I get out. I find out 11:18. What changed in my life in those 7 minutes?
I'm just letting you know, Joe. I told people I would talk to you about it and ask you about it, and I knew you would growl about it. So go ahead, growl away.
The NBA,
I know you're not a fan of Shams. Yes.
Well, I'm not. It's not that I'm not a fan. It's just
I have seen him work. I've seen him schmooze.
I don't see the point anymore with this. The NBA destroyed the two things they owned every league in. So what's the point of having Shams? What? We have a trade during the trade deadline. They're going to trade Chris Middleton for 2 first-round picks and a horse. Is that what we're looking forward to here during the deadline?
Well, I'm just telling you, he breaks news faster than anyone else in the business right now because Woj is retired. I know it's a lot of it, and I've talked to my good friend Mr. Rafael Barlow, who does Locked On NBA Draft podcast and all that. We've talked before about what he does, all the work behind the scenes, how he keeps in contact with everyone from high level executive to uh, different people at arenas, as far as keeping in touch, keeping in contact, knowing birthdays, knowing other stuff, as far as personal things, as far as just keeping in touch on a friendly basis so that he will get that news first and foremost. Again, he bumped into me when I at the Wemby game in Henderson, when Wemby was his first game here in the States, when he was trying to go in and schmooze and glad hand all around. So I've seen him schmooze in person. I'm not, again, he, whatever, like what you want to say about it, he does get the news first, and it wasn't too much of a surprise, as I said weeks ago when Woj retired, that this would happen. And again, you could see a mile away that ESPN was going to get him under their wraps.
Cool.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't be too thrilled about it.
I don't care. It's nothing to do with being thrilled or not thrilled. It just, there was a time for these guys where there was excitement for it. I don't see it anymore.
Because in this industry,
That's how bad. That's how bad the NBA is right now. Talking about some schmuck who breaks the news of stuff of what. No one gives a shit about Karl Anthony Towns.
It's basically every major news story now. He is probably the guy that's going to break it first.
Yeah. Okay. Good for him.
Okay.
ESPN was the Roman Empire. For the best decade in the 90s, and then they slowly turned into I don't know, what's a good example? San Francisco of today.
Mm-hmm.
Just a shithole.
You've said that before.
Mm-hmm. Boy, it was great. Berman and Tom Jackson, prime time. Yeah, Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann before he turned into a moron. Woo! Stu Scott was coming up. Linda Cohn. My God, it's like it was like the 27 Yankees for an entire decade of talented, well executed sports discussion, highlights. Everybody had their shtick. They made great commercials, funny commercials. Man, I don't know what happened, man. It's sad the way it went.
It is what it is now. It's a different era, like you said. With social media, I think has a lot to do with it, because they don't have the need to. People don't have the need to go ahead and tune into Sports Center. Now they could just go to YouTube. They could just go to Twitter. They can just go to TikTok to get a lot of their information that they were getting before from these major outlets for news, sports news, entertainment news, what have you. They could just go to get just social media and get their fix a lot sooner.
Yeah, but you look at their website and what do you see? You see Stephen A. Smith with the same shtick, who waffles back and forth. That's the only problem with Stephen A. Smith. He waffles too much. And there's a shelf life for this business, and I think a lot of people stay on too long. I think the Colin Cowherds and the Jim Romes, I guess, they're still getting numbers, so I'm wrong in the long run on that. But I liked Colin Cowherd for the longest time, and then after a while, his stuff started to become stupid because he was starting to get really bad at how he looked at things. And then Jim Rome, I hadn't listened to him in, I think, 10 years.
The Jungle.
Happened to tune into CBS Sports, and it's the same show from the 90s. Yeah, incredible.
They don't change, Joe. These old radio personalities, they don't change.
And then that disaster, Howard Stern. I still can't figure out why anyone listens to that giraffe. My God, that guy is garbage. I mean, he's sort of always been garbage, but he had a little bit of an edge to him that you kind of respected. But that guy's a piece of shit. Oh my God.
Xbox says he likes Broussard.
Chris?
Yeah.
No, not bad.
We'll say that search that I'm going to try and reach out to ALF and see what we can do. Yes, Eric, you're more than welcome to come on the show. Just hit me up, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Anytime you guys want to go ahead and do a show with us or just hop on and do a one-on-one, please go ahead and hit me up. I like to do it the formal way through the email than just doing it on the fly. I'm not, that's not worked out for us before. We've gotten some people sometimes that just, they're not ready for the prime time. So that's why I'm saying, Eric, I have seen him on Laker Girls, and he's been an outstanding guest, and he has deep insight every time he's here. So yeah, I'd love to get Eric on the show when he gets a chance. Same shout out for Xbox as well. Xbox, we've been asking. So yeah, you're more than welcome to come on. But yeah, Black says shout out to Howard Stern. So there's a fan everywhere for Howard Stern.
I heard a story.
He did just compliment you on Corrupt. So.
I heard a story about Howard Stern that added more of the chode that he is. I heard his dog fell in the pool and was drowning, and he didn't go in and get the dog.
Oh, that stinks if that's true.
What kind of pussy ass bitch doesn't save his dog because he doesn't want to go jump into the pool? Oh my God. I don't know if that's true. That's what I heard. I mean, it makes sense. He always talks about his small dick and how pathetic he is, and I guess I can't argue against it.
Xbox says he'll join us for a Friday night game, which is his Saturday, because he lives in the future for us here. So yeah, I always welcome to come on board, Xbox, whenever you get a chance. Yeah, all you guys are. Just give us a shout out. Let's set something up, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Or if you guys want to send in your predictions on the season, I don't know if Joe will take the time to type anything out because he just usually likes to bark it out. Yeah, see what I mean?
Waste of time.
See what I mean?
Predicting who's going to be the 7th seed? Really?
That's why I contemplate.
That's like predicting draft. It's a waste of time.
But anyways, if you want to put in your Western and Eastern Conference predictions for the season, your season predictions, including MVP, Rookie of the Year, and more, go ahead, send it to us, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. I'm going to start giving our members the insight on some of our panelists who have already predicted what's going to go on this season. So I'm going to give them the insight here in the coming days, and they'll get it first as a member for just $2.99 a month right here on the Lakers Fast Break. Serge, truly appreciate it. And that's saying something. Again, Serge, you're the best, as far as for modding out there. You've always been for all these Laker channels, and to call us the best Lakers channel, I cannot say that's a high enough compliment for us. And we take that very seriously, and I cannot thank you enough. That's just awesome, man. And when Serge says that with all the channels he does, including EJ's, that's saying something, Joe.
I'm going to cry, are you?
No, but yeah, I can give you a Kleenex if you need it.
I don't need Kleenex.
Okay. All right. But on that note, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Joe, any last thoughts before we head on out on the Lakers, what they need to work on in the coming days before they head to Milwaukee?
Yeah. Jeannie, sell the team or put somebody else in charge, and after the season, start over.
We're not even into the season yet.
Mm-hmm. It's better to be prepared. I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys know in December. I'm going to ride this wave a little bit.
Okay.
And it'll be like it'll be a 2-foot wave. I can probably ride it with a boogie board, but I'll ride it. And come December, if the Lakers are sitting at 10-15, 10-18, something like that. Yeah.
What did you think about JJ Redick's coaching over the past 2 games.
There's only so much he can do. He wants to put these guys in a position to succeed. The problem with basketball is it's hard when you don't have the talent.
You can't camouflage it.
Mhm.
Not to that extent. You could hide it at certain points, but when you don't have enough talent to throw out there.
Looking at Austin Reeves taking all those threes, he had to have gone back last night and said, "Shit, he needs to make those shots, otherwise this is gonna bomb." And Rui's not going to be that guy either, and maybe D'Angelo could be, but is he going to be able to play defense too and do that? He's going to have to rely on LeBron and AD, and you're gonna play Russian roulette with their health on that. The Lakers have to get 2 starters, 2, preferably 1 at center.
Where would you go to first?
I don't think there is anywhere right now that wouldn't require gutting a little bit of your team.
Oh yeah, you have to trade money for money.
So
yeah,
now what you know, in terms of the Lakers needing to get lucky, the Lakers would have to, let's say, the first couple months play out of their minds, right? Let's just say they play out of their minds because LeBron and AD are fresh. Let's say they get to the new year 20-10. Or is that more? Would they play more games than that? Is it 30 games first couple months? Let's say 22-12.
Okay, because remember, 30 games is what Rob was going to use as an evaluation
So
tool.
let's say they're 22-12 after 34 games. It's probably then, because here's where you kind of start going, oh, maybe this team's good enough. No. Now you need to get reinforcements. Now you go and you kind of take some of the little bit of talent and maybe just 1 draft pick and go get a couple of starters. And that probably have to be traded because of whatever reason the other team needs to get rid of them. And then you bank on those 2 starters with LeBron and AD and take it home from there. You're going to have to rely on those 4 to make a run and hope that you have a little bit of luck in the playoffs where you win a couple games here and there, maybe an injury on your opponent here and there, and then make a run. Because no one had any depth last year. You're starting to notice as things start to phase out a little bit with rosters because of salary construction. You're going to start seeing more and more top-heavy teams that are winning championships because they can't afford to not pay their 2 stars, and then maybe their 3rd and 4th stars need to get paid a little bit below the max, but that's still going to max out their cap.
Remember, though, they cannot take back or they cannot take in $1 more than they're sending out. Because of where they stand as far as beyond the first tax apron, they can still trade for multiple players, but it cannot be for $1 more than what they're sending out, Joe.
Yeah. And based off how Rob Pelinka's managed trades and the salaries, it looks more like he won't be able to enhance the team to where it needs to go. They'll probably acquire something, but it won't be probably something that's to the enhancement of putting the Lakers in a position where they're like, oh, they're going to get a top 4 pick now. I'm sorry, top 4 playoff spot, which is paramount. Absolutely paramount. The Lakers cannot win a championship if they don't have home court, at least at the beginning of the run.
JY is asking how much intel is Coach K giving him or advice is Coach K giving JJ Redick in his initial offering as coach? What's up, Intel?
I don't know. None.
I'm sure they've had conversations.
What's Coach K gonna say to JJ Redick?
Maybe there's questions that JJ's asking him.
Like what? What would it? If he's going to ask him, he's probably going to tell him about LeBron. Let's say he asked him after he got hired. Well, how am I going to deal with LeBron? Well, weren't they friends? Maybe he knows. Is he going to say something about Anthony Davis? What are they going to run? What's he going to tell him? How to run sets? How to act on the sidelines? Does JJ Redick look like a guy that acts anything close to Coach K? Polar opposites.
Okay.
Polar opposites in personality. I don't see any benefit of him asking Coach K for anything because he's going to do what he wants anyways.
Ultimately, he will. And then one of the last things I want to ask you, JJ Redick, his conversations at times have gotten testy with the media already. I think this is a relationship that's not going to go anywhere but down and get a little bit sour as time goes on, depending on the individual media member with him. You saw it go sour pretty bad with the media and Darvin Ham. Although if it goes bad with JJ and the media, I don't think it will be as adversely effective or affect the Lakers or their fans as much as a souring did with Darvin Ham, because Darvin just said some of the dumbest things out there. I don't think JJ will say some of those same dumb things. I just think that JJ and the press will not always get along.
I don't give a shit if he's clowning media people. Doesn't matter. I don't really care about that. What made Darvin's comments hideous is it pertained to the team. It pertained to winning. If JJ wants to snap back at some question he doesn't like, that doesn't do anything for me. I don't give a crap.
All right.
But Darvin was the idiocy of Darvin's mentality. This guy's supposed to be old school, yet he completely withered under the millennial mentality of, oh, you guys are too hung up on winning certain games. I'm like, stupid moron. Every game matters in the West. And it was proven in 2 years in a row that you coached, you stupid idiot. If you had given a shit, winning 3 or 4 more games, you wouldn't have been in the position you're in where you had to play another damn game. And why are you resting guys in the middle of December because of a tournament where you only played 1 extra game anyways? Why did this guy act like they were playing a tournament where they played 10 games extra? Because then at that point, it would make sense. It's like, this is what I'm saying is when people get squeezed, doesn't matter where they're from. This is something that needs to be really talked about. Because you ever notice how everybody's story is, oh, I came up hard and I came up this and I came up everybody, and I'm sitting there and some of these guys, I'm like, you came up hard? I mean, I read a little bit of a synopsis of this guy's life. The guy grew up in freaking Calabasas or something like that. I'm like, what's hard in Calabasas? What, you had to drive up the mountain? You had to deal with some traffic? Like what these guys are delusional. And it was hilarious because I didn't watch the whole documentary because I didn't give a shit. It was kind of boring after watching a little bit, but it was hilarious. Did you ever watch that David Beckham Victoria documentary from like last year? So I've always liked David Beckham, but this was like, I loved what he did here. And I love that the cameras kept it going. So they're interviewing Victoria, posh, and I like her too. I don't dislike her. But she started talking about how she grew up and she was trying to make it out like she had to work for certain things. And all of a sudden, David Beckham sticks his head out. He's like, tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. What did your dad drive? And she tried to avoid it. And then finally he kept egging her on. And she finally said, my father drove a Rolls Royce. So he kind of cut that bullshit out. Like, dude, you've been privileged your whole life. It's okay. Just don't be a fake about it. and every interview and every discussion, no matter who it is. And it's funny, I'm looking at athletes, right? Guys that have been recruited since they were probably in their freshman year in high school, listening to these guys who've had their ass kissed and they've been catered to all their adolescence come up and say, oh, I've been disrespected and no one believed in me. I'm like, the one that really made me laugh was Lamar Jackson. There was so much talk about how he had been disrespected and this and this and that. This is after he had just won his first MVP. I'm like, what are you talking about? He won the Heisman Trophy. He was a first-round pick. He just won the MVP. What the hell are you talking about? He's been disrespected. He's been practically handed 2 MVPs because there's something going on in the NFL where they have this hard-on for Lamar Jackson. They wanted this guy to be Joe Montana for some reason. I don't know why. So, like, it's a level, as I've gotten older, and EJ said some, he always likes, he started saying stuff on the show today about, I'm going to be this guy that's going to just be outside my house yelling at everything. I go, first of all, my house is done up right. My neighbors are done up right. I don't have problems here. I don't yell at kids in my neighborhood. What I really get irritated by is grown-ass men acting like bitches. That's what's changed since I've gotten older. You have grown men my age, maybe a little even older than me, that have turned into complete pussies. And they need to be called out. They need their manhood challenged. And I'm here to challenge it. And if it bothers you, come tell me. And I'll tell you why. Doesn't matter who you are. World-class athlete, someone that lives down the block, military guy, cop, doesn't matter. I've seen them all. And I'm surprised myself. I'm like, dude, you were in the military for 12 years. How are you letting this person control you? You're a Marine. You were in Iraq getting shot at, and you're getting, like, rolled over by someone at home? Really? Come on, man. Not a good look. Doesn't help children. Children need to grow up with strong parents. Needs to be a balance, especially the boys. I digress.
But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Tomorrow, we'll be back with more talk about the Lakers and around the league. And, of course, Joe and I are back Wednesday. I believe I've got Legend 350. And on Thursday, I believe it is Stone Hansen returning to us for a pregame. We'll do a pregame with Stone Hansen, because I know he's on the East Coast, so make it easier on him. So we'll do a pregame with Stone Hansen on Thursday, and, of course, Legend 350 on Wednesday. Still trying to line up more guests for you over the next couple weeks. And, of course, Joe and I will be here always for the post games. So what are you doing?
I got something stuck in my tooth.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay. As long as your headphones are working, then that's all that matters. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the way out to get the notifications. Intel, so let me know you change your mind. Always got you here. We always appreciate everything you do. Black, great to have you here again, enjoying the demo of Corrupt, which you can get right now on Steam. Hopefully it continues to do well for you, Joe. Any big calls yet that you're getting on it?
No, we've gone through 3 publishers already. We need a good sponsor is what we need to the finish line.
Okay.
Someone that will drop a good amount of money, not a lot, just enough to get a next level marketing campaign and let us sell it on our own, because the industry is doo-doo.
What's up, Jeremy? Great to
Hey,
have
Jeremy.
you here. On the way out. I am still watching From, just to let you know, based on your recommendation. Again, as I mentioned yesterday, that's it's a solid watch. Absolutely, it's got a lot of good horror vibes for a TV show. Yeah, as long as it stays on that track on the horror vibes, it's pretty good watch. Anything we're watching before we head on out that's interesting you, Joe?
Watching on the regular,
Yeah, just watching regular.
just reruns of stuff. I usually don't. I'm not watching anything new right now.
Okay, because I'm gonna try and see if I can catch the Menendez brothers doc on Netflix this week. As someone who lived in California during that time, it was obviously one of the more mesmerizing trials of its kind. So
I don't know if I want to support this. Everybody seems to get their jollies off these stupid murder, serial killer garbage stuff.
well, how does Dateline have an existence? Dateline has its own channel on smart television.
Yeah, I think it's different when
24/7.
I think it's different when they're solving crimes, but I feel like there's this celebration of the Scott Peterson thing. I was watching a couple of those things, and the reason why I watched those is if Scott Peterson had been just probably if this had happened 5 years later, they would have known everything. They would have known exactly where he was, where she was, because there would have been cell phones, there would have been iPhones. They would have been able to track things. You know, and I'm not saying he's not guilty, but there was some things there that I started watching, and I'm going, we're being manipulated into this stuff. And even the unsolved mystery stuff that came out this year, dude, all they're doing is UFOs and Roswell. I'm like, dude, this is not an unsolved mystery. I want to see actual unsolved mysteries, and they haven't even solved any of these new ones either. Like, what's the point?
Nothing definitive yet on AD and Braun. Joe was already on record saying that they will probably sit out against the Bucks, but nothing definitive yet has been said by JJ. If it is, I will retweet it on the Lakers Fast Break on Twitter.
I just hope I don't have to watch. We know that the regular season jerk off fest is going to happen. I don't know when. It's going to depend on what's going on in the game, because you absolutely cannot put Junior in any of these games if there's competition going on. You cannot. And they're going to have to pick and choose that. And the fact that he's taking up a roster spot too is an embarrassment. He has no business.
Last night was an embarrassment. He was absolutely a joke. This guy was not an NBA player in the first place, and he proved it.
And he never will be. I want you to put this on tape. LeBron Jr. will never be an NBA player in the sense of being an NBA player. And I'm curious to see how long they're going to run this. The fact that he has a 3-year, not a 2, not a 3-year guaranteed deal, just adds even more idiocy to this whole situation. They have
with a 4th-year option.
That's the last thing on my. That's the last comment I have. I don't want to go into another rant here before we go.
Okay. Keep it light. Keep it good. All right. Once again, if you want to put in your season predictions, just send it to me, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Be glad to join in the mix. And coming up this week, you'll see some of our panelists' predictions they've already sent in, and I'll send it to members first. And you can become a member today for just $2.99 a month, indeed. So for Joe Sorrell, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow for some NBA observations, give you a little taste of what's going on around the league, and if there's any updated news from Shams Charania or anyone else on the Lakers about the Lakers, we'll go ahead and make sure we get it to you right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.